everybody. How is everybody doing? Here we are again, Trans Gurus. This time, Jimmy was not available. She had some errands to do, so, well, can happen. So we are just the three of us. I'm doing it from my office in Miami, and so all over the place. We are all over the place. So today's we're talking about living courageously. I think that is a very important theme for this moment. But I would like to start with our poet,
Yes.
L'Oreal, exceptional, which is Mrs. Raji. She's going to tell you a poem again.
Oh
So,
my gosh. Ella, I have to send you the check in the mail. That was a fantastic introduction. Well,
oh,
I did do another poem, and it is related to what's going on during these really turbulent times. I just wrote it a few days ago, so I'm going to be reading it again because I don't have it completely memorized, but hopefully you will enjoy it. This poem is entitled For God's Sake. Despite all our differences, our different skin, we all bleed the same from deep within. Born with our hopes, our goals, and our dreams, we all yearn for happiness, it surely seems. Can we put an end to all this evil and hate? Is our own destruction truly our fate? Black, brown, and LGBTQ people don't want to reign. We just want to be equal and break every chain. When our lives are over, was the fight worth the cost? Was a legacy of hatred a legacy lost? You dish it out but can't take the bite. Please treat others with dignity and all your might. Can we honor each other's divinity and get to a place of humanity? I pray for a world with no more hate. Can we come together for God's sake?
wow.
And
Oh,
and I wrote that because that's how I've been feeling like with all everything that's going on, like, oh my God, y'all, like we're human beings, we're all trying to live our lives. Can't we just get past, because the bottom line is I feel like when we're all on our deathbed, a lot of the stuff that we fought over or like we were angry about or have, it won't even really be mean that much, at in the scope of one's life. And so that's what poured out of me. I just had to write something, and it was bursting from my soul. So you got this hot off the press from my soul.
yeah, absolutely. I think it is it's a beautiful poem, and it's very, very up to date, really. It really is with
Thank
many
you.
things all the things which have been going in the last weeks here in this beautiful country. Anyway,
Yeah. Beautiful country, beautiful.
oh come on,
No, it is. It is. I'm just joking, but
it is a
yeah.
beautiful country. It's a gorgeous country. It's the best country in the world for me. But I mean, I've lived in many countries, so I should know.
Well, I was getting ready to say, Ella, if you are saying to us, Bobby and I and the audience, that this is the best country in the world, I mean, that speaks volumes because you've traveled so much.
Yeah.
So, for you to be able to really say that, that's amazing.
Yeah, okay. Let's put the things in reality, okay? It's every country is beautiful, okay?
Ah!
America is my chosen country. That's where I chose to live. That's why it's beautiful for me, okay? I chose to be here and I love it here. And but the world is beautiful. Everything is beautiful. But in the world it's full of different things,
Mhm.
and we have to respect them. and have some heart for all of that, those, and compassion. Compassion is so important. Understand what other people are looking for, and that every person is a human being and has got the right to be a human being. And when we talk about living courageously, don't forget, everybody has got the right to have their own courage and to live the way they are supposed to. You know, facing our fears is the most important thing in life because that's how we grow. So who wants to go next? Bobby, would you like to
Well,
go?
yeah, my turn. I wrote down something. Um, excuse me.
Right? I've got them too.
Uh, uh, I need some assistive technology here. Oh, can we honor each other's divinity and get to a place of humanity?
Yes.
And it's funny. When I am, when I really can be still and contemplate and imagine what that world would look like, where we see each other's divinity and we don't see skin color or the trappings of materialism or any of those things. And just realize what spectacular, spiritual, divine beings we all are. And just to imagine what could we accomplish if we saw everybody that way and if we operated out of a place of love for each other. And the other thing that you mentioned in there about humanity is just reminded me of something. I There are a lot of ancient texts, and some of the ones that I'm the most interested in are all of the things that the emperor of Rome, Constantine, refused to include in the Bible. He really cherry picked what he wanted to include. And there's this huge volume of stuff that's called the Gnostic Bible, and that is everything that was excluded. And it's like three times more. but but the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is, oh, if you could only read one of those, I would really recommend that one. But she talks about how the whole purpose of our existence is is that we all are divinity, that the kingdom of God is already inside of us. We were born with that inside of us. And the imagery that she uses it is discovering the child of true humanity, and that takes a lot of deep work and going inside in that that kingdom of light was in you from the beginning. That is the seed of true humanity, and our job is to come into contact with that. She goes on further to say there's going to be a lot of people that say, look over here, here it is, or look over here, here it is. And there's all of these people trying to tell you how to come in touch with that. And her whole gospel is you don't need anybody. You this is inner work. This is stuff you do yourself. And it's like, well, no wonder Constantine didn't want to include that in the Bible. You don't need priests, you don't need buildings, you don't need rituals, you don't need any of that stuff. It's like, okay, let's not put that in there. Let's keep that part quiet. But I just mentioned that because that is the truth. All of us were born with the seed of a true humanity inside of us. And how did we lose that? How did we lose that? And we have been very manipulated by materialism and capitalism and threatened that, oh, this person whose skin color is different from yours is trying to take away all you have, like as if life was pie and there's only a certain number of slices available. That's not true. We all have been entitled to life. And so i really really appreciated your poem, Raji, because it reminds us who we are and what we're capable of. But the fact of the matter is we are so easily manipulated like with the shifting winds, and we see that right now very specifically in this country. The media is trying to create two mobs, a mob that's all for this person and a mob that's all against this person, and we're going to attack each other and devour, but this guy, but this mob is supposed to win. And it's like, how could we let somebody do that to us? How could we let somebody rob us of our humanity and our divinity? And what I've learned, and I think it's something that you all might agree with, oops, earthquake.
Earthquake.
Yeah,
God is listening to you
yeah, yeah.
and loving what you're
This
saying.
is earth shaking. This is earth shaking. No, now I forget. No, it was like our mistake is with the people who have dropped their connections to their neighbors. We all of this stuff has been designed to make us very tribal and to only care about nothing but our tribe. And everybody else is a threat to our tribe. And it's like, no, we are all the humanity of the earth. And so it's like trying to go after homophobia, transphobia, things like that with logic and reasoning is not going to work. What's going to work is love. And that is something that I discovered a long time ago. Most people do not know a transgender person. They've never met one, they've never had a conversation one. And when all is said and done, the four of us here are excellent transgender people for people to get to know. And that is my idea of love. I go out every day hoping to meet new people, talking to new people, bonding and connecting, and 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 out of a spirit of kindness and love for my neighbors, I want them to make their own opinion about how big a threat I am to the American way of life. And and if they're honest, they'll say, "Oh no, we need more people." And anyhow, that is when you talk about living courageously, one of the toughest things to do is to be loving and kind to the people who are hating you. And I don't want to pretend like that's easy, but I love your point, and I love that's what was on your heart this week. That it's like, for God's sake, can't we start looking and seeing each other for who we are? We are divine gifts of the universe to each other. We we why wouldn't we love each other? And the reason that we don't is because we've allowed somebody to convince us that they're going to lose something if they love us or if they respond to our message of love. You can't love. And of course the idea being is that we're being manipulated by very powerful people who want their power to increase, ever increasing. And the way they do it is by keeping the attention off of them and putting it on each other. And so they divide us. And that's why I'm saying the thing that's going on right now couldn't be any more specific, couldn't be any more socially engineered, trying to create two distinct mobs that are going to attack each other. And it's like, how did we get there? And all I can do is live courageously and love my neighbor. And that has been my plan all along, and I have no intention of changing that. That's my plan today and tomorrow. So, back to you.
I think it's a really wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I have to say something. If you just let me for 2 minutes. I was telling before that America is the most beautiful country in the world, and it is true.
Yeah.
And it is, there are two types of beauty. One beauty is what you call, the countryside, the beautiful cities. And I mean, you go to New York, you've got, I mean, a really incredible city. You go to, but this is, let's say, and you go to, the parks. I mean, it's so beautiful. The Everglades here in Florida, it's a beautiful creation. You can see God's creation everywhere in the United States. You really do. And
Mhm.
beautiful creations. But there's another aspect of beauty, why America is beauty. For me, I have to explain this because when I was very young, I went to an international school. And I learned that there are people from different cultures. And I learned to respect different cultures. It's not that I have to be part of the culture, but I respect what they think and what they do. My friends were Catholics, Roman, Muslims, everything. They had different backgrounds. They spoke different languages. And these friends are still my friends today. And this was the first thing. Now, America, what is it? It's exactly that. Go to New York. It's the Italians. It's the Jewish people. It's the Muslim people. Everybody is there. The African people everywhere. You know, it's that is the world. We are all here. We are all different backgrounds. Some of my best friends are Saudi Arabians, and another friend, which are in our group, is from Israel. And he's a Jewish person. And the other people are, just English or Americans or, some of them, I don't even know what country they come from anymore because it's so mixed. And this is as well, never forget, this is the culture of the United States. That is why it's so important. I mean, you've got white people, you've got Latin people, you've got black people, you've got all the people from the whole world here. I mean, I follow many religions, and I found very interesting what religions said. There are people which are Catholics in Egypt. Okay? Most of the Egyptian Catholics, they live actually in the United States because they were persecuted in their own country, and they've been here. They're Egyptians, they are Catholics. I've got many friends which are Catholic Lebanese, and some of them are Muslim Lebanese, and even Jewish Lebanese, by the way. This is the wonderful thing of America. It's the multicultural country. And when there is multicultural country, there is, of course, change of opinions. Absolutely normal, but respect is needed. Really, respect is needed. What we call the First Amendment here in the United States is really quite an incredible thing because we all have the right to our speech. We all have the right to think of what we want to think. But you know what? Well, let's respect. Let's have some compassion for other people as well. And this is, for me, it's really important. And you should not be shut down because you've got other views. I mean, that is actually from the old countries, you know, because, in some countries, like in Europe, if you come from two different parts of the same country, you're not respected like the same thing. And they're both, white, local.
But Ella, it's the mountain people against the city people, right? Or the city people against the mountain.
No, the northern people against the southern people, So that openness, and I think that is something which has to be a common factor in life. Yes, we are all, every single one of us is a god. And every single one has got a divinity which is behind us. So that's my point of view.
Well, I love the conversation that has sparked during this show. And one thing that comes to mind for me is the saying or the phrase divide and conquer. And how, like Ella, you pointed out, you can be one race of people, but because you're from one section and someone at another group's from another section, there's a divide. And I think that that is a lesson that we humans actually are here to learn, because if you look at the world, whether it's race, religion, class, mountain people and city people, there's always gender, there's always some group that is against another group because of whatever differences. And I think that if you look like here in America, it's the race thing and, you know, the LGBTQ thing. But like Ireland, look at Ireland, all predominantly white people, but it was the whole conflict between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, you know, or Uganda. Look at the horrors that happened in Uganda in 1994, I think it was, when they had the horrific slaughter.
What do you mean?
And both all African, all black people, but because one tribe, one group of people were on one tribe and another group was on another tribe, there was a conflict, and this horrific thing happened. And this is to tell you, I watched a documentary on that. They couldn't even, sometimes they were fighting and they couldn't even tell the difference as to whether they were Hootsies or Tutsis. Pardon me if I'm getting the name wrong, but I know it's similar to the sounding to that. And it's like, hello, you guys are fighting. You can't even sometimes tell which one's on which tribe. So it is, I really do believe it's a lesson for us as human beings to learn to, you know, embrace where you come from and who you are, but at the same time, have an open heart to be able to, you know, look at other people and be able to see the beauty and the diversity that this world has to offer. Because if everyone was the same, it would be a freaking boring world. It would be so boring. Like, so yeah, I just, my prayer is that we can. And think about this. I know it sounds cliche for me to say we're all walking miracles, but think about this. Each and every one of us, that one sperm had to reach the egg to then hopefully like stimulate life and then go through the process to then be born. And all that we went through to get here, we're part stardust, we're part of stardust. You know, it's like, how I can't understand how people can't really connect with that, like to really see, like, oh my God, we're all on planet Earth right now living our lives, and the earth is spinning, there's a sun and a moon, and all this stuff is going on, and we have these minds to create, and look, we've gone from cave to computer. I mean, all of this is just, it is just, so when I think about it, sometimes it's so overwhelming, and it's like my mind wants to just like explode, because it really is a phenomenal thing that's happening here on the planet.
Yes.
So anyway, I'll pass it back to Ella. I know I'm self-combusting over here.
It's a divine world. It really is a divine world. Okay, let's just go a little bit faster because we are almost on the but go ahead, Bobby. It's your
Oh
turn.
my, you all talk about so many things, and Ella, you talk about travel and how how much that opens your eyes to what a glorious, diverse world we live in, and how rich we all are all over the world in terms of what we can contribute to one another.
Yes, it is.
And so travel is really, really important. But unfortunately, there are just millions of people in our country that have really never traveled more than 30 or 40 or 50 miles away from where they were born. And and if you look at the most liberal states, they're all on the ocean, on the East Coast, or right in the middle, Illinois, Chicago, and the waterways in there to the Great Lakes. But the people that live on port cities are the ones that get diversity and they get tolerance and they get the magic of diversity. And when you look at the United States map, the edges are blue and the center is blood red.
Yeah.
And it's mostly composed of people who have been taught to be afraid. They've been taught to be afraid of the strangers. They've been taught to be afraid of people from other countries. And I know, just real quickly, when I was growing up, and this was all back in the JFK years and Nikita Khrushchev and Russia and communism and all of this stuff, the big red scare. And Nikita Khrushchev was the equivalent of Vladimir Putin now for Russia. And and you know, I could see the animosity between their president and our president and the threats. We had the Cuban Missile Crisis, and everybody in Florida can probably still remember that really well. Probably have more than a few fallout shelters still in existence. But the whole time in school, I'm being taught to hate communists, to hate Russia. And that's also the time we started putting in God we trust on our money, because it was to distinguish us from the godless communists. And so that is where that phrase in the Pledge of Allegiance, we one nation under God, that was added during the 50s to distinguish us from these godless, yeah, you know, and it's like, so many of us bought into that. But I remember clearly thinking, how could millions and millions of people in Russia be so evil? I bet you if I just plopped down in the middle of Russia in farm country, I could find people I would love and enjoy. And I'm sure of that. And I'm sure most of the people in Russia were very lovable, very much like me, very much people I would love to have for neighbors and live next door to and all of that junk. But our system convinced me that they were my enemy, and I would never, never, never want to be in the same room with them. And that's what I hate about what wealth and power have done to the education of our people, because that's not the world we live in. They have taught us we live in a mean, evil world, and we've got to always be fighting each other so we don't turn our attention to them. So anyhow, I'm going to stop. but it's like, for God's sake, can we please start seeing the light inside of each other? Can we please start seeing that this is once in a billion year creation? This person I'm talking to will never appear again. Why
Bobby,
would I
I'd like
wish
to
them?
answer your question.
Yeah.
The first time I was in Russia, in Moscow, was in 1986, a couple of years ago.
Uh-huh.
So it was a while ago. And it was a very interesting moment, because I mean, I was there for business, and for some reasons, it was this type of perestroika time. But the government took my passport away, and they told me you can only leave Russia when you finish your business, which was a couple of days later. So I had to spend Easter weekend in Russia, in Moscow. And you guess what I did? I went to see a church. You cannot believe how many people were there. So godless Russia is not godless Russia. There is a very strong God and believe in Russian at that time. And it was, of course, an Orthodox church with all these absolutely beautiful incest things which were going on back and forth and making everything full of incest. And it was so fully packed. You cannot believe how many people were there. And at the time, it was forbidden to go to church, so to speak.
Mm.
But the people there, they were going to church. They never stopped.
But we've been taught to not believe that's possible.
Well, that was really quite possible. And I tell you, I was there actually with an American person at the time. It was the time of perestroika, and the business that I was going to do, it was partly financed by American people. And we had a great time there, a really, really great time in Moscow. It's one of those trips I'll never forget. And to this day, I've got many very good friends in Russia. They are people like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And
You
I've got Russian friends here in South Florida too. So
Yeah, no, and it's funny you say that because the Russian people that I have met here in South Florida have been nothing but kind to me, the ones that I've connected with. And so I always say to people, to know me is to love me. And I think that that
right.
speaks to the world. Like, if we get past the governments and the people, so-called people that are in charge and running the world, and you really get to the people that are living under these governments, you're able to connect with them. Oh my God, it's phenomenal when human connection really takes place. It's like after a while, the way you look and like your race and your culture and all of that, it's not the utmost importance. Yeah, maybe there's things about it that you'll be able to be connect with the person, or you'll be interested in learning about. But what I'm saying is that true human connection, whether no matter where you're from, what race you are, what religion, just like Ella, you had said, in your group of people that you mix with, there's Muslim people and there's Israeli Jew. Now, when you look at the world and the way things are going now with Israel and Palestine and all, you would think like, how could a Muslim person and a Jew get along and be friends? But
Yes. Sorry.
it
If
happens.
you
It
go to
is.
Israel, I've been many, many times in Israel, and I love Tel Aviv. I really do love that country. When you go to Israel, you see what you call the Muslim people, the Arabs in Israel. Don't forget, 20% of people in Israel, they are actually Arab. They're not.
Arab. Yeah.
So it's a very big mixture, and they are just as compassionate and just as nice as everybody else. So, I mean, I used to work with a company, with a factory in Tel Aviv, and I used to go there about 3 or 4 times a year. And it's a mix too, because all these Jewish people went from there from all the countries. So you've got the Russian Jewish, you've got the French Jewish, you've got, the people, and I tell you, one very good friend of mine told me that his family were Palestinians, Palestinian Jews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's okay. Let's not go too much into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
no, no, no. That is a perfect example of when people are able to just put whatever aside and see each other for the miracles that we are. Doesn't matter if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, if you're Hindu, but being able to come together as, guess what? Human beings. Because beyond all our labels, what are we all? We're human beings on this planet living the human experience. Beyond all the labels, that's what we all are. That's what we all have in common. Is that we're all human beings. That's why the Martians don't want to show themselves to us, because they see that we can't get along with ourselves. They're like, well, if these humans can't get along with each other, how are they going to accept us?
They lock the doors when they drive by Earth.
by the way, the LGBT community in Tel Aviv is fabulous, fabulous. Oh, I had many, many beautiful nights in Tel Aviv. Love that country. Anyway, I think that we have gone a little
Yeah.
bit over time.
Yes.
So I will just say bye bye for tonight, okay? So did you want to say a last word?
Well, I'll just say this real quick. You know, a lot of people can't travel, like don't have the money to travel the world, and like how Ella, you're able to travel a
Yeah,
lot more than like
I've
the
been
average.
I've been very, very fortunate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but more than the average person. But you can expand your mind. Like you, just because your physical body can't go on a plane to across the world, especially with the technology today, everyone can learn about different cultures now and be able to expand your mind. So my message is whatever box you're in, get the F out of the box. And it's and it's oh, listen, I'm a poet. You see how eloquent I talk? Get the F out of the box.
Audrey.
Thank you. I just talking about seeing the divinity real quickly. I grew up in a very, very bigoted, prejudiced, racially divided southern town that is as bad as anything you will ever see. I often tell people the movie The Help, that is
Yeah.
my childhood.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I will never forget the day that I had lost my dad. I was 10 years old. And this Black woman came to comfort me. And she was so good and so loving and so kind. And while I was looking into her eyes, it was like her skin disappeared, and I just saw this being of light, pure light, covered in skin that just had a little more melanin in it than mine. But that was a being of light sent to minister to me. And I've never looked at Black people the same since. And that's why I'm so glad you brought that up. It's like if we could only see the divinity in each other, what a wonderful world this would be. So that's it.
Absolutely.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
with those words, thank you
Yeah.
for looking at Transgurus. We missed Jimmy, but probably she'll be here next time. And have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful day. And enjoy, and be courageous. Bye.
Love, peace, and blessings. Mwah.
Bye.